It is maybe the trading draft to end all trading billing. Zamira Hajiyeva, now fight the UK's at first inexplicable riches procedure, AWO, utilized 54 letter of credit cards, lot of that were related to her man's banking, to go on a large conducting binge in the Western London division keep above a 10 years. Mrs. Hajiyeva risks loser her £15 household clothes Harrods, advantage a Berkshire game of golf year cost millions more than on top, if she fails to explanation the resource of her riches to the top trial. Her man is serving a 15-year verdict in their home Azerbaijan for theft millions of his country-controlled banking. The papers in the fight versus the domestic criminality agent, now seen for the at first period, show the thorough inquiry in Mrs. Hajiyeva's date-to-date conducting and complex away-shore characteristic institutional arrangement. The constant UK inhabitant lives less than rather than a 5-minute go of Harrods. Not just was it her regional store, she belonging to bays in its individual car garden. And one of the key documents in the instance is a 93 web-page declaration of the Keep's customer loyalty map schema, in impact a recording of her emergency trading binge. How conducting began soon following she desired to settle down in the UK, possessing been stolen in Azerbaijan the year up. She began humbly at first, conducting £842 on family's books and £140 on fragrance. Up the year was of, she had found the Cartier jewelry articles resist, that would be one of her favorite locations, wherever a plow written she consumable £181 on October 1st. After came £1,600 of Miu Miu planner clothing and a future £1,539 on Ferragamo shoes. In March 2007, she was behind at Miu Miu and consumable £10,616 on one of her 25US courier cards. Later the amounts began to hover. Down there was an undefined fee to Harrods of more than rather than £66,000 and more than rather than £17,000 for consumer goods of the planner Tom Dixon. Bukharan jewelry articles, pound Cartier jewelry articles, pound Dennis Basso, US Vogue planner, £400 to £1,000 bred by Tom, £330 to £1,000. The conducting may be a conjunction of coffee house stops and top-end planner furnishings by Tom Dixon. The Harrods fragrance counters, £160,000 full conducting, £16,309, fair following afternoon on June 20, 2008 she pay £925 at the lingerie and socks resist. One time and 3 protocol after, the Cartier jewelry articles plow acquired a fee for £433, the greatest obviously recognizable expend on the plan later, round off the date, she pay £374 for a men's planner paragraph. Days after she was behind to expend £8,387 on the Israelite planner Eli Tahari, and £847 on fragrance. Possessing undertaken a day or so away, she refundable on June 26 to expend £17,000 in 3 purchases at a opulence watches resist. The largest interesting fee is £99,000. That went via the plow at Bibadai Babadai Catcall, Disney's later exceptional shop in the Keep. It's not precise which the is to, taking into account how the shop loaded £1,000 in time for a Duke or Duchess family's do-over. How secret towards, she was not brief of letter of credit how special day, else £160,000 went on Bukharan jewelry articles. And so it went on, 6 drawing spends at Cartier and Bukharan, 5 drawing outlays to top designers and later visits to Harrods cafes, restaurants and meal halls. Not all of the conducting was on by herself, she one day pay £1,371 on souvenir wrapping in a solitary travel, or nearly £6,200 above all, and would routinely buy men's opulence consumer goods. The mom of 3 as well consumable £250,000 in the Harrods toy division, wherever the talent are so exceptional they may not be on selling everywhere else in the planet. The Grateful? She blew £16,309, in Harrods among 29 September 2006 and June 14, 2016, and nearly £6 of it could be immediately related behind to 35 letter of credit cards given by the banking her man is charged of stunning away. She seemingly utilized 54 letter of credit cards. In her declaration to the trial, NCA Finance Inspector Nicola Bartlett told Mrs. Hajiyeva's conducting was considerable in lighting of the concoction how Mr. Hajiyev offended his stance at the World Banking of Azerbaijan by producing letter of credit cards to loved ones that would eventually never be paid. So did any of the lift the alarm signal at Harrods? Did the keep include suspicions? Harrods' accordance in, and commitment to, the powerful against money laundering policies is a basic concept of the business's operative, told a representative. Down there has never been any proposal how Harrods has managed in any way some rather than in complete accordance in the highest regulating and legislative standards. The NCA's final goal is not the conducting in Harrods, but Mrs. Hajiyeva's London household and Berkshire game of golf year, both above that she stands to miss if she cannot show how she became so rich. In the agent's submissions to the trial, Ms. Bartlett told, this way in that the characteristic has been derived, or later processed, is facility. Mistress Hajiyeva's relation to the characteristic is unclear. Mrs. Hajiyeva's Knightsbridge household was purchased in December 2009 by a business named Vicksburg World Inc. for £. The documents show how the NCA eventually related the UK Maiden Islands business to Mrs. Hajiyeva. Its CEO is a man of Azerbaijan named Elmer Bagherzade. He was as well the CEO of a business recorded in the UK named Berkeley Industry Limited, that purchased a Gulfstream Industry jet for more than rather than $42 meter, £33 meter. UK companies must announce who has considerable monitoring importance the man in more than rather than a block of the vote shares. And in the instance of Berkeley, how man was Mrs. Hajiyeva's man, Jahangir. The NCA as well related Vicksburg in the UK Maiden Islands to the pair via Mrs. Hajiyeva's own visa annex. She said the household office space how she was the stakeholder of the business how owns her household. The property of the Plant Trip game of golf clubhouse in Berkshire was though more than tangled. The trial documents show the clubhouse is belonging by a UK business in the identical initials, MRGC Limited. It in Rotate is belonging by Natura Limited, that was turned on in Guernsey. In August 2016, Mrs. Hajiyeva was proclaimed in formal papers as the man in considerable monitoring of MRGC Limited. But how clarity lasted fair for one day, as her behalf was later remote. This way in that the characteristic has been derived and later processed is very extraordinary, reticent and facility or, lack future and plausible explain, is indicating of cash money laundering, told the NCA in its trial submissions. Down there is cause to trust how the next cancel of her man in considerable monitoring concern was and try to hide her associate in the characteristic. The NCA papers show the life of some properties. A future BVI business related to Mr. Hajiyev one day belonging the household following doorway to the characteristic aim by the inexplicable riches procedure. And it's as well believed by investigators how he owns a country house in Sardinia and characteristic in Azerbaijan. Mrs. Hajiyeva and her aged child, Layla Yubasheva, as well one day lived in a £3 meter flat house was belonging by else of the companies he eventually controllable. And while she attached to dwell in the UK as a rich depositor, a path in UK lifetime for the mega-rich, the NCA says she stipulated no testimony for any freelance revenue. In supporting of her annex, she purchased more than rather than £1 meter of UK by the government ties in August 2010. The lending to the by the government came of her man, the trial accounting records show. And 5 years after, her man confident the household office space in a email how my woman and I include adequate cash for her to be given unlimited keep to stay. Months after he was detained in Azerbaijan and loaded in theft of the banking he ran. Mrs. Hajiyeva has often rejected offense, and is attractive versus the NCA's activity versus her. She's as well now fight versus issuance to Azerbaijan in a instance how will be heard after the year. In her declaration to the trial, as well open, she told how she has been incapable to protect by herself or her man since he is in prison and is thus incapable to ensure a comprehensive expense of how he became a legal and success entrepreneur.